So good morning everyone. I know a few of you in here, not all of you though. I'm Nadia Inglis, I'm a consultant in public health and I work at Warwickshire County Council as well as Coventry City Council, and on this slide I just reflect all of the partners that work together on this air quality agenda, and I can see a few Warwickshire colleagues in the room as well today. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about air quality and health, and a little bit then about what we've been doing collectively to try and tackle this problem. But first I wanted to start with this slide, and it's we don't know who actually wrote this, but it's part of a nursery rhyme that was quoted in a book by Wayne Field. The best 6 doctors anywhere, and no one can deny, are sunshine, water, rest, air, exercise and diet. And I think if we add a house, a job and a friend, then it encapsulates everything that we try to do in public health. But today I want to talk about air and the importance of air quality. I'll talk initially a little bit about some of the key pollutants and monitoring, then about the link between air quality and health. A little bit about the local picture, although I think that will be covered later, and then something about our Coventry and Warwickshire Air Quality Alliance and some of the things that we're trying to do together. So, as a lot of you will know, we have national and European obligations to monitor and take action to reduce a number of air pollutants. From a public health perspective, though, there are 2 that we're particularly interested in: nitrogen dioxide and particulate matter. So, nitrogen dioxide, and the major component of nitrogen dioxide in terms of source are emissions from vehicles. But particulate matter is made up of solid and liquid particles, either from man-made or natural sources. And again, combustion processes produce particulate matter, but anything that generates dust, so industrial processes, construction processes, tyre and brake dust, as well as natural sources are all sources of particulate matter. And from a health perspective, we're most concerned about those very small particles. We talk about PM2.5, that just relates to the size of the particle, because we know that PM2.5 and smaller particles than that can actually be inhaled through the lungs and absorbed into the bloodstream. So in terms of impact on health, we're quite concerned about PM2.5. But also, as this slide shows, particulate matter behaves differently to nitrogen dioxide in that there are big regional and international effects when we're talking about our local PM2.5. You can see about 65% of the particulate matter we might measure locally come from regional and international sources. That's not to say we don't need to take action, but actually we all need to take action on this. In terms of the bigger picture, this is the national emissions inventory, and you can see over time, sorry, you probably can't see it at the back very well, that when we look at a range of pollutants in terms of emissions, these aren't measured concentrations, these are emissions. We've seen reductions with the regulation of industry. But the 2 that we're interested in, and I'm not sure if I can really show you, is the dark red line, PM2.5. And you can see over the last few years we've seen a plateau in emissions from PM2.5. And the light green line is nitrogen oxides, so NOx. Which is drifting downwards. However, we still have a lot to do, particularly in our urban centres, where we are breathing illegal air in many of our urban centres across the country. So, in terms of air quality and health, what do we know about what air quality does to our health? This slide, apologies for those statisticians in the room, this was something we put together that to try and look at where air pollution featured as a public health problem. So we've looked at a range of lifestyle risk factors: smoking, obesity, alcohol and air pollution, and this is particulate matter air pollution, and the impact it has on mortality. And so you can see, so the blue bars are Warwickshire, orange Coventry and England in green. So you can see smoking is still a big killer. These figures are a little bit out of date now, still a big killer. But actually when you look at air pollution alongside obesity and alcohol, you can start to see actually it's an important public health problem. Having said that, when we look at, this is an important point, when we look at the contribution it makes to mortality, it's similar to alcohol. However, when we look at, if you look at the risk factors the risk factors, sorry, excuse me, I'll start that again. when we look at deaths for which the risk factor is the main cause of death, air pollution contributes only just to a small number directly of deaths. But you will have all heard about the 9-year-old girl in London. There's an inquiry ongoing now, and she may well be the first person to have air pollution as a cause of death on a death certificate, very sadly. And what has changed over the years is our understanding about the impact of air pollution on health. We know a lot more about it now than we did before. But actually, it's not all about impact on life expectancy. It's about how does air pollution affect us day to day in our everyday health. It's not about adding years to life, but it's about adding life to years. And we know that air pollution does have an impact on our health, particularly in people who already have underlying health conditions, cardiovascular conditions, respiratory conditions, the very young, the very old. It has an impact, and there are links being shown at all stages of life. There's emerging evidence on the impact in pregnancy, on childhood development, and also in diseases of older age, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, etc. So none of us are immune to this. Both particulate matter and nitrogen dioxide do have an impact on health. Probably some of the strongest evidence at the moment is for particulate matter, and that's an important thing for us. And again, the smaller particles are what we're concerned about. It's an issue of inequality, so people who live, work or go to school near busy roads are much more likely to have air quality impact their health. And also we've talked about climate change. In terms of the impact, anything that we can do to reduce, to improve air quality in our cities will also have a positive impact on our climate. This is from a study that brought together a lot of different studies looking at individual actions that we can take to mitigate our impact on climate. And you can see that living car-free at the bottom would have the biggest impact on our impact on the climate, and therefore on health, because this is a global health problem that we're dealing with as well. So not only will dealing with air pollution now have an impact on health, but actually we're going to have an impact on the health of future generations, and that's really important. Local picture. So this is something I'm sure my transport colleagues will talk about a little bit later, but just to show you the areas where we have got pollution hotspots in Coventry, and it's on all of the main arterial routes into and out of the city, essentially, with some of the worst problems on the Holyhead Road, coming in from the northeast to the Ring Road. And we have a challenge, and there's quite a lot of work been going into an air quality plan to try and solve some of the problems that we have. And again, although I won't go into the detail of this, in terms of the sources of the nitrogen dioxide emissions, if you just look at the orange segment here, these are diesel cars. So actually, our diesel private vehicles are a big source of our nitrogen dioxide problem in Coventry. So what are we doing about it? There's some colleagues in the room who are part of our Air Quality Alliance, which I chair. We've got colleagues from Coventry, City Council, from Transport, Planning, Public Health England. We've got colleagues from Transport for West Midlands, and we come together as an informal alliance to look at ways in which we can collaborate to improve air quality. That's not to say that everything that is happening across the Coventry and Warwickshire area is as a result of the alliance meeting, because there's lots and lots of work going on in all local authorities to try and tackle this issue. But it's a forum for us to exchange ideas, to work together on collaborative bids, etc. And our vision, here we are. This is it. We need to get people out of their cars. It's been said before. Does anybody disagree with this? This is our vision, because from a public health perspective, it's not just about reducing air pollution. If we can get people physically active at the same time, physical inactivity has sometimes been estimated to have as big an impact on mortality as smoking, and you saw the figures for smoking. So the big prize for us is actually how can we get people travelling more actively. I'm often challenged. They say, well, you can choose to smoke or you can choose what to eat, but you can't really choose to be exposed to this. And I would say we all have choices about how we travel, so that's my challenge to you. And so what are we doing? Currently, there's all sorts of work going on across Coventry and Warwickshire. We've got a joint Choose How You Move campaign. It's our active travel campaign that we'd really like your support with. We're doing some work in Warwickshire at the moment, in Warwick District and Nuneaton, working with commuters who are carrying personal air quality monitors on their commute to work. We're talking to them about their travel choices and behaviours and looking at what might influence them to travel more actively. We're all working on bids of some description or other to try and support improvements in air quality. And now we also have across the sub-region supplementary planning guidance documents that's set out to developers what our expectations are around air quality assessments and what we expect of developers in terms of mitigating the impact that they have on air quality. And we work together on air quality action plans and things. I'm sure some of these will be talked about a little bit later on as well. I did want to highlight the one in the middle, which I know Richard Smith is in the room today. It's, has been working with Sustrans, have been working with 12 schools along one of our sort of most highly polluted corridors along the Walsgrave Road, if you know it, going from the centre of the city to the hospital. And you can see in the middle some happy kids on bikes. And I think some of the preliminary figures in terms of having an impact on the way in which children travel to school have been very, very promising. But there's lots and lots of work going on. One of the things I did want to highlight was our Choose How You Move campaign. The websites are here. I'm sure they'll be shared later. We'd love you to support this campaign. This just provides a range of national and local tools for helping people to plan their journeys differently with a focus on reducing car use, particularly for short journeys. These are some of the National Clean Air Day messages that came out last year. And finally, just to let you know that colleagues at Coventry City Council, Warwickshire County Council and Atkins are running a free active travel workshop for businesses and employers. If any of you are signed up to the Thrive at Work programme, Health at Work programme, this will be a great way to support your active travel accreditation, and we'd really like to encourage colleagues to sign up to this on the 28th of November, and it's going to be at Friargate, so right next to the station, so no need to bring the car. So brilliant. Thank you very much. I think that's all I wanted to say.